Are you looking to draft a cowl sleeve to add that fun little feature onto your next garment? Well, today we're going to be drafting it in Illustrator together. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally apparel pattern in Adobe Illustrator. I love to create pieces of wearable art that have that fun, unique feature. Sometimes it's a sleeve, sometimes it's a zipper detail. I love adding those tiny bits to my clothing to help my creativity stand out. So let's pull up Illustrator and get patterning. I'm going to be working with a half scale pattern, so if you would like to follow along, I will link the half scale pattern down below so you can get it and try these techniques for yourself. Now the first thing that I have to do is I'm actually going to have to cut this pattern apart. Before I cut it apart though, I need to make sure that it is ungrouped. So right now I have it grouped with all the little the guidelines and all the little tabs so that if I was going to move it anywhere, all of it would stay in place and I wouldn't accidentally leave a notch behind or a grain line behind because when you leave them behind, it's not fun. So let me highlight again and make sure that we are, come on, ungrouped. And I have the notches, I believe, all separately. So that should be it. Yep, we're good. So then I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut the top and the bottom. Boop, just like that. Then I should be able to highlight just this half. I already forgot. So I also want to cut these lines so that I have my guidelines as I work on each half of the pattern. So now when I highlight just that half, it only highlights the half of the pattern and I can work with it. I'm just going to move it up and out of the way so that it's not in my way. I'm just going to move this guy down a little bit. And we're ready to start slashing this guy apart. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of room right here at the elbow. So let's highlight. And we're going to cut right at that intersection. And we're going to do the same. I actually want to leave that guideline there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a copy front. And then I will cut right at that line and I'll still have that as a guideline below. Now before I actually rotate, I'm also going to want to do another copy front for this line right here so that I have both sides of the kind of like the dart that I'm going to be creating. Then we're just going to highlight what I want to move and then we're going to rotate it at that point. And we're just going to, I did not grab it all. So let's try that again. So I want that line first, shift everything else, and that line. And then we're going to rotate on that point. And it's just going to be a slight pop-up right there to get the cowl started. Awesome. Now, next, I'm going to add in some of my other cut lines. So I'm going to do one right through there, and then I'm going to do another one that's about halfway down right through that same point there. And I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to, again, cut apart right on that line, and then I'm going to cut apart right at that notch there. And then before I do my rotation again, I'm going to copy front. Whoops. I just made it big. There we go. Had the wrong button. So we're going to copy front. There we go. Click and highlight and then shift everything else so that we know we're rotating everything we want. Rotate on that line. Do, 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 do. And depending on how much extra fabric you went in there is how much you're going to add here. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now for this half scale, but if you know a little bit more, like how much you're hoping to get in there, you'll have some measurements. There's definitely some guides that will give you some rough estimates of how far you want, how big you want, how much you want to add everywhere, which sometimes is a really great starting point. But since this is a half scale, I'm just doing a small eyeballing. So the last one I need to do is this top one. And we are going to cut it apart right on that line. And then we're just going to copy front that, highlight that, and rotate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate just a smidge like so. Yeah. Cool. So I am liking about where this is going. The last thing that I want to do is I'm actually going to just do a quick drafting of a line that is 6, should be plenty, at 0, so that I know where it's hitting this up and down line. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop up the sleeve cap just a bit more. So I'm going to raise that to there so that I know where I'm needing to draft from, and I'm going to get right on that line. And I'm going to add 1.5 inches directly up like so. And that is the base outline for my cowl sleeve. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lock this layer and move to the next layer up so that I don't mess with my slash and spread. It is stuck there and I don't accidentally delete something or anything crazy like that. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pen around it. So I'm going to start here, pen, drag until it's nicely hitting. And then to get that 90 degrees, click right on top of that anchor point, and I can see that I'm a little off there, but we can go back and fix that in a minute. And then up at the top, I'm going to add a line right there so that I get a nice curve off the top. Then we're going to curve it in off the bottom like so. And then we're just going to go back and fix some of these anchor points because that's being a little bit too wide there, so we want that to curve in like that. And then this anchor point is slightly off, so I'm just going to boop, put it right on top just like so. And then we have, all we have to do is reflect it over the over this line. And if you hold Alt while you're reflecting, it'll reflect right over that line for you. I'm going to turn off that bottom layer so that, oh, it doesn't look like I was quite on that line because it is slightly off. So let's try that again. So let's go on, and then we're going to reflect, Alt. It's the black one, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Now that's on. Then the last thing we're going to do is we're actually going to get these two center lines gone. I don't want them in my pattern. So we're going to cut apart the sleeve half, and then we're going to cut apart this sleeve half right on those corners. Then we're going to highlight just the center bits, get them there, and rejoin the pattern. Join. There we go. And that is our cowl sleeve. All you'll have to do is put on your marking. So I'm going to bring this back up. We're going to zoom in. I'm actually going to unlock this and grab these two guys. Copy. Go to the 10th layer, front. So they are now right where I want them to be. And what we're going to need to do for one of them is just bring it in a smidge. Needed to have V, not A, selected there. And then we'll copy one, paste it, rotate it, And you should know where this goes. I definitely don't have it marked, but I can measure on my pattern. Or, the other thing I can do is bring this sleeve right back over and line him up with the underarm sleeve. Rotate him on that point so that he matches. And that gives me that point. And I can move this guy right there. Now, the other thing that I probably should have done before I put that guy on there is I actually want to bring in the front there we go. Now I want to bring in this front curve just a little bit. So I want to get that anchor point and pull that in just a hair so that it carves out for your front arm just a little bit more. And then we'll move this guy. Whoops. In. And there we have it. We know that we will be gathering this in from probably about there to about there. And we have our cowl sleeve. If you liked this video, definitely like and subscribe so that you can continue your adventure into digitally apparel patterning. And make sure to check out some of the other sassy sleeves that you can create in my series. Definitely check back soon because we will be making this sleeve and you'll be able to see what this cowl sleeve looks like on a half scale. I am super excited. They always turn out so cute. And I hope to see you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!